Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mark Boreski. I will be chairing this session of the Board of Revision today. I'd like to call this meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. With me on the panel today are Marla Billinghurst and Ian Mann. Our assessor today is Eric Gauthier, and the hearing secretary is Stephen Lunn. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you're placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to these matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that the comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing, but issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. So today we will be hearing items 6 and 7 on our docket, the others having been withdrawn. Mr. Lunn, could you please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony?
Mr. Assessor, if you please stand and please state your full name.
Eric Gauthier.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And you may be seated.
And Miss Applicant, if you would please state your full name. Miss Rabino.
Jenny Israko Rabino.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first one that we are then dealing with is item 6 on the docket, 1231 Corridon Avenue. And this is an application for revision of the assessed value on a supplementary tax notice that was issued, and the relevant year is 2023. Is that correct, Mr. Assessor?
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any preliminary issues to deal with?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So we're just dealing with the value as stated on the supplementary?
Correct.
All right. Well, in that case, please proceed.
So the property in question is roll number 1203154200, commonly known as 1231 Corridon Avenue. It's located in the neighborhood of Crescentwood. It's a 1.5-story single-family home built in 1950. We do not have any effective age on the property. The living area is 1,443 square feet. It does have a full basement. We do not have basement finish on file. We have one full bath, one half bath, no extra showers. We have that it has central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no attached garages. It has a single detached garage, no pools, no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that's 5,732 square feet. As most of you know, Corridon is a busy street, so we have bus route, heavy traffic, and a park influence. Today I'm going to be presenting 4 comparables that are all located either in Crescentwood or Rockwood. So Rockwood is the adjacent neighborhood with similar style homes. The first comparable, my comparables are all 1.5 stories. They're all single family homes. They're all built between 1948 and 1951. The effective ages we have on the properties range between 1948 and 1968. The square footage is in a reasonable range between 1,210 feet and 1,392 square feet. They all have full basement. Note that comparables 2, 3, and 4 have basement finish and comparable 1 does not. For full baths, they all have 1 full bath. Comparables, as far as half baths, comparable 1 does not have any half baths. Comparable 2 has 2 half baths, and comparable 3 and 4 have 1 half bath. As far as extra showers, only comparable 2 and 3 have extra showers. Central air conditioning is present in comparable 1, 3, and 4. As far as fireplaces, only comparable 4 has a fireplace. Attached garages, none of them have attached garages. As far as detached garages, comparable 1 has a single, comparable 2 has a multiple or detached garage, and comparable 3 is single, and comparable 4 a multiple. There are no pools present and no sunrooms present in any of the comparables. The land size ranges between 3,998 square feet and 6,189 square feet. As far as influences, we have internal corner on comp 1, we have bus heavy traffic on comp 2, and we have external corner on comp 3. And comparable 4 has no influences to note. The comparables are all from 2019-2020 sales. Remember that our reference date is also April 1st, 2021 market value that we're looking at here today. Sale prices range between 328,000 and 350. Well, I'll do some rounding here. 352,000, which gives us a sale price per square foot range of between 241 a square foot and 285 a square foot, or 286 a square foot. The time adjusted sales prices. So when we bring these sales to our reference date of April 1st, 2021, we get a range of 355,000 to 368,000. And this gives us a time adjusted price per square foot range of between 261 a square foot and 299 a square foot. My recommendation is to maintain the 346,000 that was on our supplementary notice based on the comparable sales here. So basically what happened, just a little bit of explanation of why there was supplementary notice issued, was we reviewed a post-reference sale. So one of our tasks is we review sales to make sure our data is accurate on file. Many years ago, we had a condition indicator on this home indicating that it was way below normal condition. So that was reviewed, and based on the sale that took place, we basically removed that, putting it at average condition. So I reviewed that sale, and I agree with that assessment that the property is in average condition. You'll note that we do not have any effective age variant on the house, so we do have it as original. So nothing special about the house, but we did have it assessed as if these indicators are the type of tools we would use for a house that would be a tear down, or a house that would be in very poor condition. That would bring the assessment value lower to reflect that. So we felt it was no longer warranted. So we issued a supplementary notice to adjust. those characteristics. And our value changed from 284,000 to 346,000. Another note is that we recently received permits for renovations. So in April 2023 and in June 2023, so very recent, we received electrical and plumbing permits. So it's my understanding that it's being renovated as well. The value that we're presenting today is not reflecting of any big renovations, but it's just a note that this is in progress right now. And that's all for my presentation. Well, ready to take any questions?
Before you do that, do you mind making reference to your map and the additional material that you have supplied here?
Sure. So the map basically is an indication of where our comparables are. I think the most relevant one is probably the one on Corridon, just because, you know, you're dealing with the same type of influences. But yeah, I mean, most of us will be familiar with the Corridon area and Corridon neighborhood. Like I mentioned before, the comparables, they're all 1.5 stories, kind of built in the same era and within a reasonable distance of each other here. And then I've presented, basically I've blacked out because it is a post-reference sale, but it's just to kind of give information on the property that's current and up to date. I'm not going to bore you and read the whole MLS listing, but basically there's some mechanical upgrades, as you can read in the realtor remarks. Like I said before, we have the house in average condition. I went through the pictures this morning. The kitchen is kind of a, you know, 90s oak kitchen, so nothing renovated or special. And the house is really, I mean, the best way to describe it is kind of average condition. There's nothing outstanding about it in any way, shape, or form. So like I said, that's what we've done for our assessment, is basically assessed it as if it was an average condition.
All right. Madam Applicant, it's your opportunity now to ask any questions of the assessor that you might have about the information that he presented. Don't provide us with your evidence yet. We will get that in a few minutes. But is there anything that he said that you have a question about?
Yes. She mentioned something about condition, like the previous assessment, like there's some condition. It's just some wording, some below the average or something. What is the meaning? Like, what is some condition was on the property before the new assessment?
You're asking me in what situations do we use like a fair condition on a property?
No, you just mentioned. I'm totally understand the process of city to do any assessment, and like Mark said, not yet. I will talk for my evidence. So my question for what was said, you just mentioned something was conditioned before new assessment. Something was conditioned. So just understand what was it before.
So many years ago, we were presented with information that the house would have been in very poor condition. So we made the decision a long time ago to basically reduce the assessed value because of the poor condition of the property. So when we reviewed it, we just felt like it wasn't necessary anymore. So over the years, the previous owner may have done some improvements to improve that situation. Like I said, this could have been 20 years ago. I don't know how long ago it was. Our notes only go back so far, but we just felt like it wasn't warranted anymore based on the reviewing the sale.
Okay, and this condition removed or new assessment done because of new sale of this house?
Correct. The reason you were given a supplementary notice is that we reviewed the sale, and part of the responsibility we have and is to make sure our assessments are accurate. So we do review sales that come through the multiple listing service. and make sure that our data is accurate. Sometimes we'll add a basement finish or remove it, or realize that we have a garage on file that's no longer there. And in this particular instance, we realized that we had a condition indicator on the house that brings the value of the dwelling down, that we typically use for tear down dwellings or dwellings that have serious problems. And felt it was no longer necessary.
Okay, I understand. So basically, if no new sales was done for this house, like the old lady was living here, it still remained the same assessment, the same tax?
Possibly, because it may have continued to fly under our radar. So
yes,
we strive to have accurate data, but I mean, basically, if the sale hadn't happened, would we have known that it was brought back up to snuff? Probably not, to be honest with you.
okay, yeah, I understand. Okay.
Do you have other questions?
Done. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
No, my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Mr. Mann.
I do have a couple of questions. First of all, in reviewing your page number 1, there's on the influences, there's a park. And when I look at the map, is the park to which you're referring immediately to the west, I guess, of the subject property, or are you referring to the park at the corner of Corden and Rockwood? Because it looks like there's a triangular piece of property that's grassed in at to the west of the.
That would be the influence. So our influences, you got to be really like adjacent, touching, or within straight eyesight of it. So it would not be the larger park. It would be that little triangle piece there.
Okay. Thank you. Back lane, of course, is noted in here. I have a question about the comps in general. You spoke about the condition of the house being removed, or fair condition or average condition. Are there any exemplars, or is there anything unusual about the condition of any of the comps 1 through 4, or are they all average condition as well?
So you'll notice comp number 2, the one on Corden, we do have 20 years effective age on it.
Yes.
So basically what that means is that house has had some level of renovation. So something like 20 years effective age could be something like, they spruced up their kitchen a few years ago and changed the electrical and did the plumbing in the house. Like that would be, so it's obviously in better condition than the subject property.
Okay, the others are all of average quality as well, or is that fair to say, because the effective age is, or at least on comps 2 or 3 and 4, the effective age is the built age?
Comp 1 has a little bit of effective age, so that one there too would have had a little bit of updates at some point that we're aware of. The rest from the data that we have, it's showing that basically they would be in a similar kind of mostly original condition. We tend to not try to split hairs with this kind of stuff. So if we see a sale come through and it's got a dated kitchen, dated bathrooms, but it's had updated electrical and maybe a little bit of vinyl siding done, we have to make a judgment call at that point. We're not there to split hairs, but at the same time, for our responsibility is to have fair assessment. So if you have 2 homes side by side that are identical and one's been gutted to the studs because it's had a fire and it's been redone top to bottom, for us to have a fair assessment, we need to represent, the condition of one property versus the other. So the tool we found that is the best for that is an effective age variant. This is a common tool known in the appraisal industry. And the beauty about it is over time, it wears off versus what we did a long time ago where you put a good condition or average, that never wears off. So this is the most effective tool. But do we have perfect data? Well, we try to have good data, but we don't have perfect data. So we do the best we can with this. And like I said, it's not an exact science, but I feel like in this case here, the value is supported and we have accurate data.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Just following up on what you were just talking about, with the comparables, I mean, there are the two that have an effective age. The subject property does not, yet you took the condition indicator off. That does not affect the effective age in your computer system?
Yeah, so I mean, if a house is built in 1950, we have no effective age on it, but I'll give you an example. Let's say I show up there and the place has got major structural problems and it's sloping.
Yeah.
We have an added tool that we can.
For the sake of brevity, I'll stop you there. I know what effective age is. What I'm asking is, when you take a condition indicator like you did in this case off a property, that does not change effective age. It's only if you go in and change a characteristic that the effective age will change.
Well, we typically would not reduce a condition to say fair if we had an effective age on it, because these are two opposing forces, right? So it's kind of an extra added tool that we use. We use it very rarely if a property is has in serious disrepair. And typically would bring it down closer to land value. So it's something that we use in extreme cases. Effective age is generally something where, because you can't have negative effective age, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it does. I'm just
so
why
that's where we take that tool out, right?
I'm curious about why the removal of that condition code would not have altered the effective age and hence made it a little bit easier to see comparable 1 and 2 as truly comparable properties with the subject. However, I guess,
like I said, we can't have negative effective age. So if we've already have no effective age on a property and it's in disrepair, we have an added tool that we can pull out where we basically say, like, this house has got serious problems and now a condition indicator is being used. We typically don't use condition indicators because effective age is a more accurate tool and it wears off over time. So this is actually a good example.
Please hold while I try to connect you.
Of a condition indicator that was put on maybe, who knows, 20 years ago, and it hasn't worn off over time. So when we're going negative before the year built, we have no choice but to utilize this tool, if that makes sense.
That does. Yes. Okay. I'm not getting an actual answer to my question, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I understand your question, so maybe we could try another time, but
Well, it was built in 1950.
Correct.
It had a poor condition indicator on it.
Correct.
Which, yes, left it at 1950 because you don't wind up with a negative effective age.
Correct.
Removal of the poor condition indicator in itself would not result in the computer system giving it an effective age more recent than 1950, correct?
Correct.
Okay, it is only if you actually make a change to one of the physical characteristics in the computer system that it will change the effective age. Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Okay.
So the effective age is something that we use a calculator and we use experience to basically come up with an effective age on a property. So if a property's, say this house in particular had burnt down, been gutted to the studs, and completely renovated, top to bottom, rewired, replumbed, re-roofed, retrussed, you name it, it may have an effective age of 2010 based on our calculator. That would calculate basically all the components of the house and come up with an estimate of effective age. So yeah, so it's separate than me changing, for example, the fact that there's a new wood deck, or the fact that so they're separate. Basically, effective age is a tool that we use separately from the characteristics. So if you build a new garage, we're not adding effective age necessarily based on the fact that you added a new garage. I would have to manually change and calculate that.
If you replace the roof, would that not affect the effective age?
If I'm reviewing a property and I feel like there's enough renovations being done that it warrants effective age, we would look at that and calculate an effective age for it. If it's something Mickey Mouse, like you've changed your air conditioner because it packed it in last week, we're not really gonna split hairs with that. So that's basically.
So with all comparables, they are older properties with relatively recent sales. Were each one of those reviewed as you did, looking at the sale information, and were revisions to the assessment made that way?
So to give you an idea, we don't review 100% of sales that take place, but I think on this last cycle, we're up there like in the 60-70% range type of thing. So we review a lot of sales. Do we review every single one of them? No. We just don't have the manpower, but we'll review the bulk of them, yeah.
These characteristics we're seeing may be accurate, they may not. We really can't judge. Is that correct?
You know, I'm not going to put my hand in the fire and say that these are all 100% perfect data, but what we have.
Yep. Okay. Of the differences, comparable number 2 has additional bathrooms and a multiple car garage. Number 4 also has a multiple car garage. All of these various things that you've listed here, which of them really make a significant difference to the value? Like, is comparable number 3 going to be much more attractive in the market solely because of those 2 differences, the number of bathrooms and the multiple car garage?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the buyer, right? So that's why I'm presenting a few different comparable sales here. Like I said, we could spend all day splitting hairs and adjust it for every little difference, but bottom line is a few of these are more renovated, a few of them have larger garages, a few of them have extra bathrooms, so they're not all identical, and that's the thing with real estate, right? Break your head trying to make them all identical, or you can spend all day looking for a perfect comp that's identical, but at the end of the day, you probably won't. So there is some subjectiveness to it, absolutely.
Right. So the criteria that you use in selecting comparables are obviously these things that are listed down under building description and land information and that sort of thing. But when you subjectively evaluate them, is there something in either the subject or these comparables that you would hang your hat on that would say, well, this is going to make a fairly significant difference here, and that's why the proposed assessment is the best possible estimate?
So typically what happens is we put the data into our model. Our model is built on reviewing thousands of sales, okay? Our model comes up with values for so much per square foot of living space, so much, per year of effective age, so much per square foot of deck, of basement finish. It's like a cake, a multi-layered cake, and it starts with the base layer, which is the land. We plug in the data. So when I'm reviewing a sale, I plug in the data, make sure it's accurate. Our model comes up with a value. And before I would send this particular person or anybody a supplementary notice, I would back check and say, hey, does our model make sense here? Can we support this value? And I would look for sales that are similar. And I would say, hey, you know what? Our value is well supported. And we did have this property under assess. So I am going to send a supplementary notice because we have a mandate to have fair assessed values. So that's basically how we do it and what we do.
Okay. On that point, I'm not prejudging here, but one of the things that one always has to be careful with in looking at data like this is, was it cherry picked? As in, all of the comparables have a higher sale value, higher adjusted sale per square foot value than the subject property. Hence, you're proposing these as being supportive of the relatively low value on the subject. But were there other sales that also could have been listed here that would not have been as supportive? Like how large a population of reasonably comparable sales did you wind up drawing out of the system?
I'm glad you bring this up. That's why we use a valuation model with hundreds, if not thousands of sales plugged into it. Right? So what's happening is our model is not cherry picking sales. This value that we're presenting here our model came up with it. It's not a manually drawn out conclusion based on these 4 sales. All I'm presenting to you today is 4 sales that are supportive of our model's value. And our model actually removes the bias that you're suggesting. And I generally don't, when I'm looking at sales to present, I try to find the best 4, and how I do that is through experience and process of elimination. So in this particular case, the first thing I would have done was look for sales on a busy street like Corridon. I would look for similar homes that are similar style, similar year built, as similar as I can. Am I going to find comps that are exactly identical in every way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. So then, you present 3 or 4 of them that are as similar as possible, and you draw your conclusion, right? So I'm giving you guys this evidence, but this is not a value that was derived from these 4 comps. These are not 4 cherry pick comps. This is a model derived value that I'm saying makes sense and I'm defending here today.
And when you use the term model, that's in our experience generally something the assessors use when they're referring to the computer logic that prepares an assessment for a property, a total reassessment of the city, that sort of thing. You're actually talking about a subsystem within your computer system that looks for comparables and tries to draw the best comparables out. Am I correct in that?
No, you're incorrect in that. So
Okay.
what happens is we use multiple regression analysis. So this is over most people's heads, okay? I took a couple of courses on this. It's very high-tech software where you analyze a series of sales to make sure the data is accurate. Because if you put garbage in the model, you're going to get garbage out. So the more sales you have, the more accurate it is. And what happens with multiple regression analysis is that you end up deriving values for specific characteristics and specific values. So for example, the model...
I'm going to stop you again because I think you misunderstand my question. I'm not asking about the computer model that does all the assessments and prepares the values. I'm asking about how you derive 4 comparable properties. You are looking for sales, correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking for sales within the reference period, that period of time leading up to the reference date. All of those are, at the first blush, fair game, but you got to find ones that are actually comparable properties. Did you only find 4 properties that were anywhere close to being physically comparable, or might there have been 5 or 6 or something like that, and you chose these 4 in order to give us a reasonable number? We don't really want to see 6, but what would have fallen off the plate? Why are these the ones that have been selected and not others?
Because they would have been the most relevant comparables in age, size. You'll notice that, like, very rarely, if I'm looking at a bungalow, that I'm going to have 2-story comps, okay? So they're going to be similar dwelling style, hopefully similar influences, right? That's how the one on Corridon ended up there. So you try your best to figure out, okay, well, if this house is hyper renovated, I'm looking for hyper renovated comps. If the house is original, I'm going to try my best to find houses that are in the area that meet all of those criteria. But this is nothing but a sample. This is not how we've derived the value of this subject property. This is a sample basically indicating to you today that the value our model came up with makes sense.
Yeah, that's understood.
Is there more comps out there? Could I have brought 30 comps? Maybe.
And you did not see comps that are physically as similar to the subject as these 4 here, but have an assessed value lower than the subject. Is that correct?
You're asking me if there's a possibility that there's a lower sale comp out there. It could be. I don't recall.
Okay.
So typically, so I'll give you my process. So typically I'm gonna say if I'm looking at a house that's in original condition in this neighborhood, the first thing I'm doing is I'm going on MLS. I'm plugging in a size range, okay? So I'm not even bothering with our model. I'm plugging in a size range. I'm putting in, looking for 1.5 stories. I'll map the area out. I know the city extremely well. I'll map out the area that I find is relevant to my subject property. MLS will I'll put in the date range, the size range. MLS will spit me out, say 30 comps, okay? The next thing I'm doing is I'm sorting those out. I review the subject property and I say, what out of this sample here is the most similar? So obviously the ones that are extremely high valued sales that have been hyper renovated in this particular situation would have got scrapped. The 2 or 3 at the bottom of the list that got torn down by developers probably would have got scrapped. So I'm doing this manual filtering process. This is not how we value properties. This is how I value properties that are being appealed or that are being questioned. So that's how I'm doing. You're asking me how I do my process of elimination and how I'm picking my comps, but that's basically the process until I eventually make my way down to, I don't want to bore you guys here today with 30 comps. I suppose we could, but that would complicate things. So typically in an appraisal, see, I used to do appraisals for banks. They don't want 30 comps. They want 4 of the most relevant in size, time, okay, in location, and all of those factors. So I can sit here all day and give you guys a presentation on appraisal 101, but that's basically the bottom line, right?
Well, what I'm looking for, and I'm not being accusatory in any way, I'm just trying to substantiate what we're seeing here as evidence. I want to make sure that when I see 4 comparables, all with sale values significantly higher than the assessment, I just want to be sure that there weren't equivalent comparable properties that might not have supported the value, and perhaps it would have been beneficial for us to have seen those. That was the objective of my question. Thinking if I have any other questions here. I think probably not, at least at this point. So then we'll turn to the applicant, and could we have your evidence, please?
Yes, thank you so much. Just some little background for us, and then maybe facts how to decide. So I understand the whole process. It is fine. I understand at some point, because a very old lady was living, I think, yeah, like you mentioned, many years. Actually, we are second homeowners for this property. So I understand at some point it should be increased. But this house was, I think, about 3 months in the market. This house very old. It's not attractive. Like it's very old. Like we mostly I saw the comparison properties. So the mostly one, I understand the process. The mostly one, it will be the one on Corridon Avenue. Like it is on Corridon and some similarity. But for our house, he was not so attractive. It was about 3 months in the market last year. It's no any renovations. It's cracks on walls. It's bad bathroom. It's very old carpets, very old kitchen. And you talk a lot about garage, because sometimes garages increase the property value. So we have bad garage. It's no door is not opening. So actually we not using it, not parking there. I mean, those points for this house, no any renovations done. We bought this house for 2 reasons. The main reason is the neighborhood. It's very close to community centers. Our kids going to Corridon School, and the oldest one going to River High School. So it's very important for us to be in this neighborhood. And we bought the on Corridon Avenue because it was very, very like the mortgage we could afford. It was like for cheaper house on Corridon Avenue itself. And the second reason, the houses in this area, like not on Corridon, on different streets, they have very high taxes. So this house on the list, when we searched for before buying, the tax for this house was around 3,400. So we bought the house, the deal done, the deal closed. Okay. In the beginning of the year, we received a letter from the city for paying tax 308 monthly. Okay, we calculated 308 multiplied 12. It's around 3,600. So we said, okay, when we saw the list, when we bought the house, it was 3,400. City a little bit increased this tax. It's fine. It's a little bit. At some point, it should be increased. Between 3,400 and like around 300, 600, around 200 increase, it is fine. It is city service, it is fine. But then, like after 2 months, arrived additional letter with new assessment. We mostly care about paying tax. So now after 2 months, it increased to we started to pay this year 308 monthly, then it increased to 395, and now from July it's 407. So it's for my understanding, for house that done nothing renovation, very, very old house, and for now we don't have money to renovate carpets, to renovate garage. We will do it some point, but not now. So first we thought in the beginning of the year, as I already said, 200 increased, it is fine. But then with whole calculation and recent letters from city, it will be around more than 1,000 increase a year. So that's why actually I'm happy to try and explain something about our boat, about our situation, a fact to decide. Because as assessor said, he just sees some list from MLS, some list of possible similar houses, but
Okay,
what's in?
Don't mind my interrupting there. Did you review sales of comparable properties, and do you have any information about comparable sales for us?
No, I
Okay.
should.
That's in the information that was sent to you. That is what the board needs.
Yes, I reviewed this.
Let me finish for a second. We don't deal with taxes. Arguments about the taxes really don't have any bearing on this. What we need to know is, do you have an argument that is based on seeing sales of similar properties that sold for less than yours, or less than what the assessor is proposing? Are there, for that matter, also any characteristics about the house that you think the assessor has not taken into account, and consequently the value should be lower? Those are the two things that we need.
The only house could be comparable, it's one on Corridon, and I don't know what's inside the house. So the fact to decide it, it's what's inside, because maybe the different house, it was done renovations, and for this our house, nothing done in very, very, very many years. So no renovation, no stuff. But it's also in the beginning when I just applied to board to talk with you. It was a kind of letter. Yes, so for this house, we have 5 kids, so we decide to add bathroom on 2nd floor. And yes, we have electrical and plumbing permits. So if we talk about fact on what to decide to increase the assessment, it's maybe this one, because nothing till now, nothing happened for this house, no renovation, no stuff. So it's okay. Other house on Corridon could be similar sales, but maybe there was some done renovation or anything. For this one, nothing done. It's very, very old here. So I explained in letter, like before when I sent, if we can wait, postpone the increase till the bathroom will be done. We actually even don't live on 2nd floor. We wait to finish the bathroom, and then kids will go upstairs, because it's 5 kids. It's really need additional bathroom in the house. So the fact to decide, it's this renovation can increase some value for this house, but nothing before. It's very old. It's on Corridon. It's nothing happened here, like no any renovation. So
Okay.
and also less point. And also it's kind of not so much increase, because some comparative increase. And if we only add bathroom, it's not should so to be increased so much. I don't know. It's okay. Other house sell like more money, but this one is very, very old, and just one bathroom. It's like bathroom and sink. It's no shower, no nothing. So also to consider only value for bathroom, like it's small bathroom to be in 2nd floor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm done. Maybe.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Sesser, do you have questions about the information that has been presented?
I do not, thank you.
Ms. Billinghurst, do you have questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Mann?
Just a question with respect to when you were looking at the house. Did you have a home inspection done, Ms. Ramanoff? Before you bought the house, did you have a home inspection done?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further, thanks.
Okay, my only question is about the kitchen. The assessor said something about it being a 1990s style kitchen with oak cabinets. And yet the year built was 1950. There was no change attributable to other renovations and improvements made to that date at the different effective year. Do you know what was done by previous owners? Were there upgrades, or is the kitchen actually still 1950s style?
Yes, I guess it's very old. So yeah, it even doesn't have a disher. So it's very old.
Okay. Well, that's,
I don't know the exact day, but I guess yes, it could be okay, correct.
okay. Thank you very much. That concludes all of our questions. Then we are finished. Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate receiving your information. Pardon me? Sorry, I heard something.
I think it was just some feedback, Mr. Chair.
Pardon me?
It was just some feedback from the computer, Mr. Chair.
Okay. In that case, we are finished with this one, and we will move on to the next. Thank you, Ms. Rabinoff.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
We will then move on to the second one of the ones that we are dealing with today, and that is 287 Collegiate Street. And this one is the 2024 roll. Mr. Lunn, do we have the applicant online?
No applicant will be present for this.
No applicant will be present. Okay, so we need to consider whether we will hear this or dismiss it without a hearing. We will go into a short recess to draw that conclusion, if you don't mind.
We are live, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So then we will proceed with hearing this in the absence of the owner. So Mr. Gauthier, could you please proceed and begin with reading this one into the record?
The subject property is roll number 0702-0359-000, commonly known as 287 Collegiate Street, located in the neighborhood of King Edward. It's a one-story single-family home built in 1918. It has a year built of an effective age of 1940. Living area of 884 square feet. We do have that it has a part basement, no basement finish, one full bath, one half bath, one extra shower, central air conditioning, no fireplaces, no garages, no pools, and no sunrooms. It's located on a plot of land that's 2,709 square feet. We had our model value came in at 195,000 for this property for the 2024 assessment, which is based on an April 1st, 2021 market value. Today I'm presenting to you 4 comparable sales. They're all located in the neighborhood of King Edward. They're all one-story single-family homes built between 1912 and 1918. Some of them have had a certain level of renovations. We have effective ages that range sort of between 1922 and 1950. Square footage range of the comparable sales is between 820 square feet and 928 square feet. So none of these would have like a full usable basement. They all have like part or dugouts or trapdoor style basements or low ceiling type of basements that are not finishable. As far as basement finish, one of them has a full and a part area. So that full area of comparable number 3 does have finishing in it. Full baths, they'll have one full bath. Comparables or comparable 3 has a half bath. There's no extra showers on file on any of them. Comparable 2 has central air conditioning. No fireplaces noted, no attached garages, no detached garages, no pools, no sunrooms. The land of the comparables varies between 3,029 square feet and 2,409 square feet. All the sales took place, I have here in our reference period. So I've got November 2018 and I think at the latest here, I've got I have a May 2020 sale. I have a September 2020 sale. The sale prices, they range between 145,000 at the low end and 150,000, so pretty tight range, giving us a sale price per square foot range of between 162 a square foot to 177 a square foot. The time adjusted sales prices, so when you bring these sales to our market valuation date of April 1st, 2021 in an uptrending market, the adjusted prices come in at 150, we'll call it 158 if I'm rounding to 166,000, giving an adjusted price per square foot range between 170 a square foot and 197 a square foot. So basically what I did is I reviewed the sale that took place. There's actually an MLS open market sale on, we have the possession date was on July 20th or July 2020, on the 8th of July. It sold for 145,000 on the open market. So basically, what I looked at was if you adjust that $145,000 open market transaction and you bring that forward to our April 1st, 2021 market valuation date, the time adjusted sales price comes in at 155,000. And that's basically, you know, at the low end of our range here of our comps. So I had a conversation with the homeowner's agent, and I think his name is Mr. Hamilton, if I remember correctly. And we kind of both agreed that this value is makes more sense, and we kind of, you know, he emailed back and forth, and we decided that that's a value that's respectable. So I'm doing a recommendation today to reduce the value from 195,000 to 155,000, based on the evidence and based on the data that we have on file. That's it for my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Mann, do you have questions?
No, I do not. Thank you, Mr. Crosby.
Ms. Billinghurst?
No, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Just one. The 155 is substantially less than the 195. Do you know why the system would have set it at 195 when a review of the comparables brings it down that much farther?
Well, once again, the model is like layers in a cake, right? It's putting values to. So this house had an effective age of 1940, for example. It had an addition added to the back. So sometimes the wild card with additions is that, yes, it's a new improvement and a renovation, but that would require an effective age change. But sometimes the flow, sometimes when you compare them to a purpose-built property, this is the type of stuff where sometimes the models fall apart because it could be adding, you know, so much per square foot of living space. Meanwhile, you know, if somebody adds an addition that doesn't flow properly, or maybe it adds another room that's not that doesn't bring that much market value, like these are the type of things that can get difficult for a model to compute. So my guess is that we have accurate data. It's just it's a house that probably I mean, I don't want to call it piecemeal, but it happens, right? Where you add additions and it doesn't flow as well as a purpose-built house. So that would be my guess as to what went wrong here. If you're asking me how I could have failed us here.
Okay, well, that's helpful to know. Thank you very much. Well, that would be the sum total of our questions. So we are finished with this one then. Thank you very much for your evidence. And that also means we are finished for the day. We'll draw this session to a close. Thank you very much for appearing, Mr. Gauthier. We will do our deliberation now, and we will issue the orders as quickly as we can.
Thank you.